Welcome to 5 Minutes with Andy. Once a month, Virtual Inc.'s CEO Andy Freed will be offering you tips, tricks, and insights into leadership, management, and business skills. In this episode, Andy talks to you about the COVID-19 Business School. The business school focused on the challenges and opportunities related to the global pandemic in 7 key categories, from Decision Theory 101 and even Psychology 101. Andy is here to teach you how he learned how to dance in the rain. To tell you more, here's Andy Freed.
So I read a great quote recently that life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And that really works for what the last year has been. It's been raining pretty hard for the last year, but we can either sit and wait for that storm to go by, or we can learn to do as Gene Kelly did so many years ago, to sing and dance in the rain. And I think that's a lot more fun. Over the last year, whether you like it or not, leaders have gotten to learn all kinds of new things about leadership. And I found myself, enrolled in what I've called COVID Business School. Now, like any school, it has a whole bunch of different courses. And in our case, it started with a course which I'll call Decision Theory 101. And Decision Theory 101 was about just making decisions and making the call. And it's funny, everyone talks about COVID as being an unprecedented situation, and then they're looking for the playbook on how to deal with it. Well, the reality is there is no playbook. An unprecedented situation means you've got to make the call. You've got to decide what's your source of truth, what information are you to go with, avoid analysis paralysis, and make sure that you're not just stuck on something, and then just make a decision. That's what leaders do. Now, your decisions might be right, they might be wrong, but you just can't be inflexible. Information changes all the time. When COVID started, I was doing a lot of things preparing ourselves for thinking, wow, we're going to have to work from home. This could be as long as 6 weeks. I didn't quite have that right. So we just had to be flexible as we kept making our decisions. And that's a key lesson. Another course that I feel like is part of that COVID business school, it's economics. And cash is king. That's what they say in business. So one thing which every business had to do over the last year is understand how do you manage your resources? How do you take advantage of whether it's cutting expenses or talking to your bank and extending a line of credits. It's so important to do that. And as you're doing that, also think about like scenario planning. What can go right? What can go wrong? Another key course, which was part of this business school, and you had to learn whether you liked it or not, was about communication. And in our case, it's over communication. How do you how do you keep your audience of stakeholders informed? It's really important to avoid the fog of war. This is a time that people feel uncertain. This is a time that people need information. Taking a look at what's possible out there, taking a look at just, making sure people know, here's what you're thinking, even if you're not sure. This is about, communicating in a way where, you act assured, even if you are yourself, and provide reassuredness, even if you yourself, feel unassured. But having those opportunities to talk with folks, and again, it's not just about information, but it's about establishing connectedness. Communications, it's so important just to talk to folks and connect with folks as you can, because people right now feel very disconnected. And one way to kind of make those connections better, and this is kind of the computer science section of our program, for all and this is computer science not just for geeks. It's using using the right tools, whether it's video, and we're delighted that this is our first podcast. It's now going to be available on video. But whether it's video or whether it's using file sharing tools, technology can be such a great way to bridge folks. And so many people have said it's hard to feel connected when you're apart. Well, think about what TV does every day. TV pulls you into different things. TV lets you go places you've never gone before, and feel actually. I always feel like George, Jerry, and Kramer and Elaine are friends of mine. Well, that's a connection that I built over video, and I built remotely. You can do the same thing with your organization, and leaders need to consider it. As you're looking at all of this, I said it's about learning to dance in the rain. There have been opportunities where people have learned how to dance and dance pretty well. I love organizations like GoToMeeting. not go to meeting, goat to meeting. That's a farm out in California. They use the pandemic as an opportunity to start having tours of their farm and start hosting people, for tours where they could have a llama join their Zoom call, they could have a goat join their Zoom call. It's turned into a very successful program for the organization. They've actually had great revenue this year as a result. They looked at what was happening, they looked at the rain coming down, and they didn't just go wee all the way home. They decided they were going to make an opportunity and they were going to see what was possible. The last two pieces I'll say involve psychology and wellness. Our psychology class and our phys ed class. Now, managing morale is a big part of what every leader needs to do. After all, the role of a leader is to do two things: to inspire and equip those around you. And over the last year, it's been so important to inspire people, to keep people motivated, and to recognize as a leader, you're the pinnacle of optimism, but equip people with what they need to be able to get things done, with the tools that they need. And in doing that, again, keep people connected, keep people talking to one another, keep people optimistic. As you're doing that, the phys ed portion comes in. And that's to remember that it's so important to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. There's a reason that on an airplane, when they give you the instructions before you take off, they say, put your oxygen mask on first before you try to help people that are next to you. Because the reality is you can't help people if you're not at your best yourself. That's why throughout the pandemic, I've been careful to do what I need to do to just keep my mental state and my physical state clear. Getting out for a walk every day, going and playing tennis, doing whatever you need to do, to make sure that you can be at your best for those around you. You know, Business school in the end, in any school, ends with a great commencement speaker. And, I guess in a virtual podcast, it's hard to bring in a commencement speaker, but if we had one, the person I would bring in would be Tom Peters. I love Tom Peters' stuff, and I encourage you to read it. But Tom Peters wrote in a recent book, he wrote this about COVID. He wrote, "Leader, this is, make no mistake, the defining moment of your career. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your neighbors, take care of your workmates. Good luck." I think that's a great place to end on, that this is the defining moment of your career. This is a moment that is really going to be something which you can either say, was a negative, or a place like at any defining moment you learned from and you were able to gain and get to the next level. I hope that for many folks, this last year wasn't a wasted year. It wasn't a year that you're just hoping to get behind you, but a year that you're able to grow from and take things to the next level. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode from the attic.
And that will do it for this 5 Minutes with Andy. To give feedback on this episode, Sinead Carthy can be reached via email at scarthy@virtualinc.com with the subject line 5 Minutes with Andy. To learn more about Virtual Inc., visit our website, virtualinc.com. You've been listening to 5 Minutes with Andy. Thanks for joining us. The music for this podcast was provided by Kevin MacLeod.